Y'all know how I feel about Republicans. I continue to say that they govern like Democrats, though campaigning like libertarians. A lot of these guys who are people get mad at me because I don't support the Republican Party. And they say, hey, you're letting the socialists win, as if these guys have done anything to fucking stop them. And as if they aren't themselves also socialists in a lot of regards. Sons of bitches. But we have ourselves an interesting thing being said here. By way of y'all's favorite Republican, Mitch McConnell. He warns of a return to the 2020 if COVID vaccine rates don't increase. And this is what he said. This is coming from New York Post. A fresh wave of deaths and hospitalizations like the ones that crippled the country last year loom on the horizon if people don't wise up and get vaccinated, says Mitch McConnell. He says these shots need to get in everybody's arms who the fuck this guy think is rapidly as possible, or we're going to go back to a situation in the fall that we don't yearn for, that we went through last year. This is not complicated, he says. He says also ignore all the other voices that are demonstrably bad advice, says Mr. Mitch McConnell. He took it to Twitter to promote as well his pro-vaccine remarks, tweeting a portion with them of them with the words "get vaccinated" on top of the tweet. And this is what he had to say. Let's go ahead and listen in on this turtle.
97% of the hospitalizations in the country for COVID are unvaccinated people. It never occurred to me after 3 highly effective vaccines were developed in under a year that we'd have difficulty getting Americans to take the shots. But that's obviously where we are. I want to underscore in the strongest possible manner I can, and I say this with some authority, as you all know.
Fuck you and your authority.
Being a polio victim myself.
Give a fuck about that.
Very aware that it took 7 decades to come up with 2 effective polio vaccines. This was done in under 1 year. These shots need to get in everybody's arm as rapidly as possible, or we're going to be back in a situation in the fall that we don't yearn for, that we went through last year.
So obviously what he's talking about is the lockdowns. And this is just as much like what we saw with those group of Republican doctors who we did cover this on the show. We covered this on a bunch of different segments. And if you haven't seen it, it was a bunch of Republican. I'm not going to show it again, but it was a bunch of Republican doctors basically saying, hey, go get jabbed up. This was actually prior to a lot of like reopenings. So they were saying basically that the reopenings relied upon people getting the jab and all the, so they were trying to tell basically people, hey, y'all need to get this jab because you want to reopen. And this is my thing and why I say these Republicans are fucking useless. Because if we believe in actual liberty, right, liberty does not rest upon whether or not I do what it is that you want me to do. Like, definitely when it comes to something like this, because of your vaccine, if it works in the way that you say that it works, the only people that would be assuming the risk, as you said, 97% of the people that are being hospitalized or dying, I can't remember which one of those or both that he was referring to, are unvaccinated. So what? You've gotten yours. That doesn't impact necessarily if it works in the way that you're saying that it works. That's the only thing. People that are impacted by this are the folks that are, let's say, that are not getting vaccinated, which, again, to act like that's not their right to assume is nonsense. But this is my issue with these status ass Republicans like the Mitch McConnells of the world, because they like to think that people's freedom rest upon and people's liberties rest upon doing what they tell us to do. And you're seeing a lot of them that have exposed themselves, a lot of conservative commentators that have, because I guess they thought they were going to get their freedom back, they were lecturing like the Ben Shapiro's of the world. Yes, I have to call him by name because he got a lot of this shit disastrously wrong when it comes to this. And I'm not even saying that as a means of disrespect. I'm saying that he was regurgitating a lot of the bull crap that we said had from the left. And now he's trying to get on the other side of this, acting as if he's confused. Like, well, now we have these vaccines available. Why are these restrictions here? Fool, you were one of the ones that were advocating for us to just get in line and follow what it is that they were saying, just so we could return to some sort of normalcy. There were a lot of Republicans that worked with the government, and obviously commentators that worked without it or out of it, that were very wrong on this, definitely early on in it, who tried to give them some sort of leeway. When guys like myself, though a libertarian, not a conservative, that were yelling from the top of our lungs, like, no, you don't give them the inch because they are going to take the mile. If you thought it was going to be just 2 weeks, you're sadly mistaken. You're sadly mistaken, and obviously it wasn't. And here we are now, trillions of dollars worth of money being spent. Welfare statism, which is the devaluing of your money. So much has happened, so much in this past year. That is people are going to feel the brunt of it for multiple years. And now these guys have the nerve to try to lecture you, like the Mitch McConnells of the world are trying to lecture you and basically saying, hey, you need to get that jab. Otherwise, we're going to do the same dumb shit that we did that didn't work, by the way, the same dumb shit that we did before. These guys are unbelievable. No, they're very believable, actually. This is what you should expect them to do. But I have to show these examples because there are these weirdos who have fell victim to the rhetoric. And they think that there's some positive net gain in just giving your support to these Republicans, when oftentimes you get guys like this. If anything, this last year, like I mentioned before, should have shown you that most of them get it wrong. You'll get some outliers that will have different positions, that'll try to take positions that are of not of, let's say, the mainstream when it comes to stuff like this. But there's a reason why these assholes selected both, say it every time, Mitt Romney and John McCain over Ron Paul, because the guy that actually values liberty, you don't support. It's always not realistic. Meanwhile, the left continues to move the needle towards their position, because they are egregious with theirs. They are blunt with theirs. They push for the most radical stuff that they could possibly push for. And if they get half of it, they get half of it. And it doesn't stop them from continuing to push on with the nonsense that they're pushing. Because you get these milquetoast ass conservatives who take either the same positions or think that, well, if we give them some, they'll shut up for a little bit. If we can just do a little bit of what they say, trust me on this. No. So I asked this question months ago to those guys who look at folks like myself, who say, well, this isn't the election cycle to do it. This isn't the time to be a libertarian or actually value liberty, to prioritize decentralization. To that question, or to that statement, rather, I ask this: when is it time? You continue to lose. The country continues to move further towards absolute socialism. Your beloved Trump didn't stop that from happening by any means. In a lot of cases, he aided in that. Like I said, with the spending, he was absolutely terrible on it. And when it came to this vaccine shit, he was right there locked in stock with these guys on it. So with that being said, here we are. So at what point do the people that value liberty actually go more so on the lines of what I'm saying when I'm telling you guys to say, fuck these guys, they don't value liberty? When will you guys who continue to suggest that we should be just supporting Republicans just because we'll stop the left, though a lot of them are fucking leftists? That's what a literal neocon is. It's not a buzz term. A neocon is a literal leftist. Nonetheless, at what point will you concede that maybe it's time to try something different? I don't know. Maybe push for actual decentralization. And not do it half of the time, not do it some of the time, not be scared. Ooh, the terms abolished and decentralization, those are scary terms. You're being unrealistic. You're being utopian. That's a pipe dream. At what point does it become a reality? Because the way that you guys are doing ain't working, and we keep ending up with John McCain, though he's long been gone. And I guess that is what Tom Woods' law is. No matter who you vote for, you always end up with John McCain. You just watched a clip from my podcast, For Cannon's Sake. Catch us live at 12 p.m. throughout the week over at youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and follow us over at odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. If you want to watch the entire video cast after the show is over, just be sure to become a member on the YouTube channel. Of course, the full audio portion of the podcast is available for free on all major digital platforms, or just visit forcannonsake.com.